In 2026, robotics companies have raised $55.8 billion in a single year. That is more money than the entire industrial robot industry generated in annual revenue in 2023. Amazon is testing humanoid robots in its warehouses. BMW has 40 Figure 03 robots on its production line in South Carolina, billing at $25 per robot operating hour. Tesla's Optimus units are inside Tesla's own factories, sorting battery cells. Boston Dynamics Electric Atlas has its entire 2026 production allocation committed to Hyundai and Google DeepMind. SoftBank's CEO Masayoshi Son declared publicly that physical AI and robotics are where he sees the next trillion-dollar company emerging. And Jensen Huang, standing on stage at CES 2026, said that the ChatGPT moment for robotics has arrived. $55.8 billion in 1 year, deployed by some of the most sophisticated capital allocators in the history of technology, into machines that are just now barely capable of folding boxes and sorting components in controlled factory environments. The question that nobody is asking loudly enough is a simple one. Why now? Why this much? Why every major technology company simultaneously, all at once, racing at this speed with this money toward machines that do not yet work well enough to justify the investment on any straightforward economic basis? The answer is not what the press releases say. The answer is not what the product demos are designed to make you feel. And once you understand what is actually driving this, you will never watch a humanoid robot announcement the same way again. Let me be honest about something before we go further, because this video is only valuable if it tells you the complete picture rather than the most dramatic version. Humanoid robots will help people in some real and important ways. In Japan, South Korea, and Europe, populations are aging faster than the workforce can replace them. Elder care, physical assistance, and labor-intensive tasks in environments too dangerous or too physically demanding for human workers represent genuine needs that robots could address. In manufacturing, the robots deployed at BMW and in Amazon warehouses are doing repetitive, physically stressful tasks that cause serious long-term injury in human workers. These applications are real. The benefit is real. I'm not going to tell you that humanoid robots are purely malicious, or that everyone building them is acting in bad faith. That would be simple and satisfying and wrong. What I am going to tell you is that the helpful applications explain a fraction of the money. They do not explain $55.8 billion in a single year. They do not explain why companies that make search engines, social networks, cloud computing platforms, and graphics chips are all simultaneously racing to put robots in people's homes and workplaces. To understand what actually explains the money, you need to understand three things that the marketing of this industry is designed to keep in the background. The first is the most important and the least discussed. It is the data problem that every AI company on the planet has been quietly panicking about for the past 2 years, and that humanoid robots solve in a way nothing else can. Large language models like ChatGPT learn to understand human language by training on essentially the entire internet. Hundreds of billions of documents, decades of human written output, an archive of text so large that it captured the way humans think, reason, communicate, and understand the world. That training data was extraordinarily valuable. It was also effectively free because it already existed and because the legal framework around scraping and training on public internet content was uncertain enough that companies moved aggressively before anyone stopped them. The models that emerged from that training are genuinely impressive at tasks that involve language. They are significantly less impressive at tasks that involve the physical world. They do not understand how objects behave under physics. They struggle with spatial reasoning. They cannot reliably predict how a real environment will respond to physical actions. This is not a software problem that better algorithms can solve. It is a data problem. The physical world's behavior has not been written down anywhere. It has to be experienced and observed and recorded in real environments by systems that exist in those environments. This is what humanoid robots actually are at their most strategic level. They are data collection infrastructure. Every robot deployed in a warehouse, a factory, a hospital, or eventually a home is generating something that no amount of internet scraping can produce: high fidelity, real-world physical interaction data. Every time a robot picks up an object, navigates around an obstacle, adjusts its grip when something slips, recovers from an unexpected surface, or learns to generalize a task from one context to another, it is generating the training data that the next generation of physical AI models needs to understand the world in 3 dimensions and in real time. The State of Robotics 2026 report from the Robotics Center of Silicon Valley stated this explicitly, noting that investors who backed robotics companies in 2024 through 2026 frequently cited proprietary data collection infrastructure as the primary defensibility argument. The reasoning, in their own words, is that a robot deployed in a real environment generating real task data compounds in value over time in a way that software alone does not. Figure AI's deployment at BMW is not primarily a robot labor story, it is a data collection story. Figure 03 is learning from every task it performs. That learning compounds into a model advantage that becomes more valuable the longer the robot is deployed, and the more robots are deployed simultaneously. Figure AI is not billing BMW $25 per robot operating hour because that is a good business on its own terms at 40 robots. It is billing at that rate because each robot operating hour is generating physical world training data that is worth orders of magnitude more than $25 to the company that owns the model being trained on it. The BMW facility is a data center with arms. Tesla understood this before almost anyone else. Tesla's neural networks, sensor fusion systems, and real-world training data pipelines that power full self-driving technology are being directly applied to Optimus. Tesla has spent over a decade deploying millions of cameras into the real world on vehicles that record physical environments continuously. That data infrastructure is being repurposed for robot training. Companies like Tesla and Figure AI, which possess massive data sets from real-world deployments, hold a significant advantage in training more reliable physical AI. Elon Musk's stated goal of building 50,000 Optimus robots in 2026 for Tesla's own factories is not primarily about reducing Tesla's labor costs at current robot capability levels. It is about deploying 50,000 data collection nodes in real manufacturing environments simultaneously, generating a training data set at a scale that no competitor who does not own a factory can match. The second hidden motivation is one that operates at a level most people never think about when they watch a robot demo, and it requires understanding how political and regulatory leverage actually works in the technology industry. Tech companies are currently facing the most aggressive antitrust and regulatory environment they have encountered in decades. The European Union is enforcing the Digital Markets Act. The United States has active investigations into the market power of multiple major technology companies. Governments around the world are passing AI legislation, data protection laws, and platform regulations that directly constrain how the most profitable technology businesses operate. In that environment, a company that can credibly threaten to replace millions of jobs has something that no amount of lobbying money can buy directly: leverage. When a company whose robots are approaching the capability to automate manufacturing, logistics, and service work at scale sits down to negotiate tax treatment, regulatory frameworks, or antitrust enforcement with a government that is worried about employment levels, the conversation is different than it would be for a company that makes software. The implicit negotiating position does not need to be stated explicitly to be understood by everyone in the room. Regulatory accommodation in exchange for deployment decisions that protect employment levels is a transaction that happens in every major economy, where technology investment is large enough to matter to government revenue and employment statistics. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is a description of how industrial policy has always worked. Automobile manufacturers, aerospace companies, and pharmaceutical companies have negotiated with governments on exactly this basis for a century. The novelty in the humanoid robot case is the speed at which the leverage is accumulating and the fact that the technology companies acquiring it started from a position of having almost no physical world presence. A company that makes search results has limited leverage over a government that can regulate search. A company that employs or replaces workers in factories, warehouses, hospitals, and eventually homes has a fundamentally different negotiating position. The third motivation is the one that is most visible in the product decisions being made right now, and most clearly explains why every major technology company is racing to put robots specifically in homes rather than only in factories. Amazon did not build Alexa to help you set kitchen timers. Amazon built Alexa to establish a presence in your home that no competitor could easily displace, to make Amazon the default interface for voice-activated commerce, and to collect behavioral data about how people live in their homes that no other source could provide. The Alexa strategy worked for a period, generated enormous amounts of behavioral data, and then began to face the limitations of what a speaker in a corner can actually do. A humanoid robot in a home is the logical extension of that strategy to its maximum possible conclusion. A robot that can see every room, understand the physical layout of your living space, observe your daily routines, know when you wake up and when you go to sleep, understand your household's patterns of activity, and interact physically with every object in your environment, is the most comprehensive data collection device ever put inside a private residence. The robot that becomes the household operating system owns a data advantage that no amount of smartphone usage data, no smart speaker network, and no wearable device can match or replicate. Figure 03 is also learning from 100,000 residential units in EQT's real estate portfolio. That sentence deserves to sit in your mind for a moment. 100,000 apartments are being used as data collection environments for robot training. The residents of those apartments are generating, with their daily physical lives, the training data set for physical AI models that Figure AI owns. This is the Alexa strategy at physical scale, with data that is categorically richer than anything a smart speaker can collect. Amazon's involvement as an investor in Robotics, alongside NVIDIA and Qualcomm, is not a coincidence. Amazon built the logistics infrastructure for the physical delivery of goods. Humanoid robots represent the logical extension of that infrastructure into the final destination, the home and workplace, where the last mile of physical interaction happens.